Yeah, so Devin Mann, we've seen him a few times. I saw him a lot in
Hmm.
2019. Got to see him even play a little bit at Dodger Stadium last year. He's a good kid. He's a guy that's played third base, second base. I think probably second might be his best position.
Hmm.
Even been played. He's played some outfield, maybe even a little bit of first base. So he's one of those guys that's versatile. I expect to see him play a lot. I think even during these spring games, they're going to
Hmm.
get him in there. I think quite a bit.
Yep. Devin Mann played every position in Tulsa, double A, except for pitcher and catcher. So, yes, very versatile. And yes, you are correct. Second base, no doubt, is his most comfortable spot. It's his home. It's where he played at Louisville for those wonderful College World Series teams there for the Cardinals. And that ought to mean something to the Dodgers because Louisville has been very good to the Dodgers organization
Boy,
with Will Smith, Devin Mann, now the young catcher
Dalton
and the
Rushing.
Dodgers organization, Dalton Rushing, yeah.
Yeah.
So Devin Mann, he's an interesting dude. Just kind of that quiet Midwestern
Hmm.
personality, but way more talented than people give him credit for because he's long and lanky. So as a second baseman, he's going to be one of those long, lanky type second basemen with power. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
20 home run a year type power guy as a second baseman. And being long, he's going to have good range. And he's just one of those guys that, you know, now he can flash out because he can hit some just absolute bomb home runs. I mean,
Right.
he had multi home run games 3 times in a row at the end 2021 at Amarillo. It was super impressive. At one time, he'd hit 6 home runs and 10 at bats. So he can flash out, but typically speaking, from day to day, he's just that Midwestern type personality type game where you got to watch him all year to really appreciate what he does for a team. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
it
Like
absolutely does.
you just go, man, he just fills in so many small little holes and then you don't appreciate it until you don't have him. Like he gets hurt and goes on a 7-day IL, and you're like, well, gosh, how are we going to fill this? And you realize
Yeah.
he filled all those holes for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you lose that versatility. It's kind of
Yeah,
it reminds me, of course, when we they let Kike go after
yeah.
2020. It's like we lost two or three players.
Plus, your clubhouse clown's not the right word. That's absolutely not the right word. But he was the guy that kept
Character.
it fun character.
Yeah.
He kept it fun. Okay, so like the Dodgers have a saying, you know, it needs to be fun, but there's a difference between having fun and messing around, right?
Yes.
So you have to have that guy that knows how to keep it fun, but serious too.
Right.
Not
Yep.
messing around. And when you
Right.
find that guy, it's not just rah rah cheerleading. It's fun but professional and serious all at the same time. And
Yeah.
so when you find that guy, it's very valuable. Kike, I think that was probably his biggest contribution.
Yeah, I do too. I think one of the things I really grew to respect at Kike because there was a little bit of times where when he was younger he was a clown.
Yeah,
I
right.
remember him doing some things I didn't like when John Lester was on the mound in the playoffs and he was being silly out there. But then all of a sudden I saw him growing up and it's like every time I saw him on the field, it didn't matter what position it was. He was doing the right thing.
Yeah,
No one hustled more than Kike Hernandez.
yeah, right.
And fundamentally very solid, just does everything right and got everything he could out of his talent. And so, yeah, you could see the smiles and the banana stuff and all that type of stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, he did what you wanted on that
Sure.
field. He was just really good. Versus when you talk about more clown, it's Puig was a clown.
Yeah,
He would
yeah.
do things that hurt his team but with his behavior and stuff like that. Kike, after a couple years, was as professional as could be, but was really fun to watch and one of my favorites. And so a guy like Devin Mann that can play a lot of positions. He's definitely not a Kike personality,
No,
but
not outwardly.
no, but you need those players where you go, gosh, he fulfills three holes on our team at any time. So
It's like that H back in football. He can be a tight end, he can be
yeah,
a fullback, he can be a tailback, he can then split out and be your inside receiver. One guy can give you 3 different looks.
yeah,
It's very
yeah.
valuable.
And I look
Hey,
at him that way.
hey, 2 guys I wanted to talk about that
Yes.
kind of have similar type setups Okay, Wander Suero, Jordan Yamamoto,
Oh,
and yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Yamamoto, most recent, both of them Major League time. Most recent for Yamamoto, 2021. His numbers ballooned a little bit in the last couple of years, but another one of those guys, when he's on, his average against is really low. And both guys that have a big basket. Where I see them to be the same type, similar setups for the Dodgers. Major League experience, one, which the Dodgers love that. We talked about that a minute ago. And two, they both have big baskets of pitch mixes. Yamamoto has thrown as many as 6 different pitches at some point in his career. And so what the Dodgers like to do, they like to go to that laboratory. They like to punch all that stuff in, on the TrackMan and all of those machines that they use to get all the data, the vertical break. And then they like to figure out which pitches are going to work the best. So Yamamoto's not going to throw all 6 he's thrown in the past. What the Dodgers are going to do is they're going to put it against the metrics, and they're going to figure out which 2 or 3 actually are the 3 best pitches. They're going to concentrate on that. They're both guys that are 91, 92, 93, 94, somewhere in there. So
Right.
not high velocity guys. So I think at the very most, you're looking at guys that come in for an inning, maybe 2, based off of matchups. And so Wander Suero, he's thrown as many as 4 pitches in the past, 4-seam changeup, low 90s. So 2 guys that bring a big basket for the Dodgers to analyze and say, hey, which way do we want to go with these guys? Do we want to? They're not going to remain 4 and 6 pitch pitcher guys. So the Dodgers are going to pick which 2, maybe 3 pitches they like the best out of the 2 of them, and see if they can't maximize those 2 pitches and use that major league experience and see what we got and see if we can plug it in.
Yeah, I remember. So I couldn't. He went to the Marlins for it was either the Yelich trade or the Ozuna trade, one of the 2. But I remember he came up in 2019 for the Marlins and had some really good success.
191 average against.
Yeah, but then he faced the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. They wrecked him. they just blew him out of the water, and they caught up to him pretty quick. But at the same time, he was a pretty highly rated prospect. He was a big piece of one of the, I just can't remember which trade it was.
I'm terrible at remembering that stuff.
Yeah, no.
You're way better at that stuff than I. The business side of things, you're way better at that stuff than I am.
But he, I saw that trade. Not that trade, but that pickup. I'm like, hey, yeah, I like this. I have a feeling he's going to probably be a starter at OKC to start the season.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what he can. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. They're going to keep, just like we've talked about. They're going to keep working on his pitches. See what works. He's going to throw pitches. You're going to go, why are you throwing that pitch at this count? Well, because they're trying to not just win a baseball game, they're trying to win a World Series. I mean, at the end of the day, even down at the bottom levels, the goal is to win a World Series at the highest level, and they're doing whatever they can. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do at OKC. But then that's a lot of competition even for innings down at OKC for him.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, okay, my question was going to be, you said you think he's going to be a starter. Well, then which one of the rookies do you think is going to start with the big club? Because you already got, you got Pepio, Grove, Jackson, Miller, and Stone.
I know. It's 5 right there.
So that's 5 starters. So for you to say that he's going to crack the starting rotation for the Oklahoma City Dodgers, who's going up? They're not going with a 6-man rotation.
I'm going to run into Andrew Friedman and Dave Roberts next week, and I'm going to convince them finally that a 6-man rotation is the way to go. And Ryan Pepio or Andre Jackson or Michael Grove should get one of those spots immediately. That'll solve it right there. But no, I really do think that a 6-man rotation makes a lot of sense, and I hope they see that. Or they go, hey, we need another long man like Andre. I mean, Andre Jackson, I still think he might spend the most time up in LA this year because of his versatility.
And he's on the 40-man. That's Bobby. I'm telling you, man, Bobby Miller and Gavin Stone have that going against them.
They do.
I mean, the Dodgers don't like like Michael Grove was on the 40-man. He got to go up, Same with Pepio.
Yeah.
That's not something the Dodgers take lightly, at least haven't in the past.
Right. And they didn't want to start the clock I mean, I'm sure that's one of the
Correct.
reasons they held back a little bit on Miller, and unless he really had shown, oh my gosh, he's striking out everybody at OKC, and he's pounding the zone with everything, then maybe they'll do something about it. But in general, they're going to hold back on some of that stuff. But this year, Miller and Stone, gosh, they were in the same draft. It's freaking hilarious. They're for 5 picks or 5 rounds, and they get those 2 guys, let alone the other guys they got. But they got to put them on at some point by November or mid-November or whatever it is of 2023. So those guys will go on the roster eventually, whether it's by November or it could be in April, could be any time after that. But once they're on, it means you got to kick someone off. Of course, there will be injuries. I mean, they already put 3 guys on the 60-day disabled list, which opened up spots for some of those veterans.
The Dodgers have a whole team of people that figure out how to finagle around those with the ILs.
and probably really highly paid too. They're roster magicians, and
they're amazing, aren't they?
Well, it's funny because when you're a Dodger fan when you can almost start guessing. What's Friedman going to do? Because it's really a vibe that he puts out, and just the patterns that he uses sometimes, like. He might do something very left fieldy, and you'll start guessing that, and it doesn't sound silly. It would have sounded silly back before Friedman, but there's those.
I feel kind of guilty because I got on my rant about the rookies versus veterans, but it is what it is, I guess, right?
But you're not wrong. That's what we get to do.
I'm not. We get to play. I'm not a negative person. I don't like negativity at all.
No, I know, but
I guess I got that off my chest.
But it's being positive about the players that are there.
Yes,
correct. And I think that I truly believe that the players appreciate the fans that are pulling for them and are pushing for them. I know that they want it more than we do.
Sure.
They really do.
And
they're going to say all the right things, but that these guys deep down are going, I don't care if they sign Mike Trout. I'm going to beat him out. That's the attitude that these guys need to have if they really want to play. And I think they do have that. These guys, they're confident. They're humble but confident. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've stated that a million different times.
Yeah, it's a good balance. They're not sitting there strutting. It's the quiet confidence, right? That's I think that's something you've probably used to do that. And so, we back our guys, and and for any of us, I root for Laundry. So whoever's got that beautiful Dodger blue across the front with the red number, I mean those are my guys. And so whoever's in that uniform, I'm going to root for. Fortunately, we have a better cast of characters than we could have had some negatives from the off season, but I feel better.
I've loved the off season. It's made sense to me. I've written a couple articles on it. It's made total sense to me.
Yeah, I do too. I think that they do. There's enough belief in this group of players that they know that they didn't have to go crazy and do an 11-year, $300 million contract on a 30-year-old shortstop, or what in the Padres, $11,280 with the guy that's not even that good of a shortstop. All sorts of things that's going to lock these teams into things that they may not be big fans of. I don't mind locking into a million years of Mookie Betts. Sign me up.
1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
1 or 2 of them, but you can't have 4 of them.
No. You can't.
Which is what the Dodgers fans were wanting. If you wanted to sign Trey Turner, you were going to have more than half your lineup be locked in till they're 40.
I know. And the Dodgers knew. So fortunately, we do have adults in charge of the organization. Yes. And they're not going to do something that's going to go and lock them in.
Roster flexibility. They want it every year.
Yeah. And it's going to matter. It does prevent the 100-win season, 70-win season.
Correct.
85, 70, 95. It's more, no. we're sticking right around low 90s to low hundreds. Now, we had 111 last year. That was insane. Doesn't matter because we only won 112 total at the end of the year. But, the flexibility is huge.
You have to keep saying that every time we have a show.
I know.
I've been trying to forget about that.
I know. I can't help it. I was there, man. I was there.
Yeah, I know.
We had to leave early. Those Padre fans were really feeling it and getting up in my business.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah. Yeah. They got it. Some of the fans just need to learn how to win better and not get.
Well, they haven't done it enough to know how to handle it.
Yeah. Well, they got an owner that wants to win. Good for him. And that's what we need that in baseball. We need.
And the Dodgers need that competition. It doesn't do the Dodgers any good if the entire NL West stinks, which the San Francisco Giants stink right now. The Rockies stink. The Diamondbacks stink. It doesn't do the Dodgers any good if every single team in the NL West stinks.
Yep.
And three-fourths of their games coming down the stretch don't matter. That doesn't do them any good.
Yeah, they had it one.
Iron sharpens iron, right?
Exactly. They had it one by June.
Yeah.
Versus in 2020, I know it was a short season, but they didn't win that division until the last week of the season. And then they went out and smoked the Brewers, smoked the Padres, and finished the job. Versus last year, they were up by how much? 22, 23? Yeah. It's absurd, right?
That Brewers team in 2020, that team scared me to death. Holy smokes. All that relief pitching.
Yeah.
Golly, man.
That's a weird team. Yeah, but they couldn't get to the relievers because the Dodgers just.
No, right. That's. Yeah, but then again, you say that, but then again in 2021, you had all this tight race with the Giants, and then they were just exhausted. It was too much.
Yeah,
there's that delicate balance. Yeah,
clinch it within 5 or 6 days is about right.
Yeah,
and they don't lose that mojo. But
how does that incorporate into a Dodgers prospects? Well, because you can create that balance and incorporate your rookies because you don't have to win the 111 games.
Yeah,
you just need to win the 85 to 90. That gives you a better chance to incorporate a James Outman, Miguel Vargas, a Michael Busch, because even if you lose a couple of games along the way that you might not have with a 35-year-old veteran, you lose a couple of battles to, in the end, win the war.
Exactly. And really last year was a blown opportunity to do that.
My
I mean, it's absurd, right? We've talked about
let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. And we love the Dodgers front office.
Yep.
We're not negative people.
But
we're not people that criticize. That was a complete blown. You nailed it. Completely blown. Yep. The Dodgers should have incorporated James Outman. They should have incorporated Miguel Vargas. They should have incorporated Bobby Miller. Ryan Pepio should have had way more innings.
Yep.
Michael Grove, Andre Jackson. They all should have been incorporated way, way, way more than they were.
Yep. And they would have been a stronger team.
Well, what did they get out of it? I mean, I love Trace Thompson.
They don't have Clayton Beater now.
Correct, which don't get me started on that one.
I know. I knew that might get you a little bit.
Yes.
I know.
Of course, I saw him all the way back to Tech, and Tech is in the Big 12 with my Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Okay.
And so I got to compete against him.
Yeah.
And so I knew how good he was. Same with Brian Sublette. And I know.
Oh yeah.
Same with Michael Grove. I got when he was at West Virginia, Madison Jeffrey. I know. Being the competitor of that person, that's when you really know how good somebody is because you're like, damn, I can't beat this guy. Not me, but as a fan, And so it's like that's how you know when they're good. Ryan Sublette when he came in for Texas Tech, I just went in. That's when I went and got my hot dog because we ain't scoring.
Came over. Yeah, and so hopefully the Dodgers will take those opportunities this year and not panic. I want to win every year. That's for sure.
No doubt.
But I think you set yourself up to win like they were doing and being really they should have won it in 2017. They were robbed. And they won it in 2020.
Easy.
That 2020 team is one of the best teams I've ever seen. It's flat out.
The definition of team.
It was pretty darn close to perfect, wasn't it?
You want me to give you the perfect example of how that was a team?
Yes.
Will Smith was the best offensive catcher in the game of baseball in 2020.
Yep.
And point blank just struggled in the postseason. Defensively, offensively. Austin Barnes comes in, rights the ship, and that's not a knock on Will Smith at all. Will Smith was fantastic, but to have that veteran catcher behind him to come in and calm things down, that's all the Dodgers needed. That's exactly what a team does.
Exactly.
And nobody was happier about that than Will Smith. I mean, that makes Will Smith's job easier, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I still after Game 4, I wrote the article for Dodgers Nation. Will Smith needs to be the DH, and Austin Barnes needs to catch the rest of the series. And it was the right thing to do. It's
not a knock on Will Smith. You have Austin Barnes, use it.
Yes, use your weapons well. And Austin Barnes, not only caught brilliant games, but he was the one that got things going against Blake Snell.
Got
that hit.
Hit up the middle. Yeah, and two, there's sometimes in the game of baseball it's so negative, and it's just your mind just starts racing with negativity. Does that make sense to you? To have a guy like Austin Barnes that just, hey guys, it's all cool. It's cool. We're good. It's all good, man. Chill, relax. Time. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out. Let's calm down. Let's not get back on the rubber till we're back into the right way to think. That guy, is sometimes that, and a lot of times it can't be the manager, because the manager is just saying what a manager says, right?
Yeah. When
it's a peer, it's just 1,000 times more powerful.
Yeah, it's unfiltered. It's no political BS. Dave Roberts has to say the right things all the time. Do you see in this organization who might be the next Austin Barnes?
I see that guy right now. It's Freddie Freeman.
I was thinking more like in the younger guys who might develop into that guy.
I can tell you the guy that would develop into that if they would give him the runway and he became an ace would be Ryan Pepio.
Oh,
he has that he roots for everybody the same way he roots for himself. He's very intelligent. He's considerate of others' feelings. He's considerate of the thoughts that they're going through. He wants to help other people, and he's been incorporated in a way that's very difficult. He went up and down 6 different times last year. The frequent flyer miles were off the charts. Never knew. So his situation was difficult. So he had to rely on veteran advice.
Yeah.
So he knows how important that is. So he will know how important that is for other rookies as well. The other guy that would have that same perspective would have been Mitch White. If Mitch White could have ever caught on him and say number 2 or 3 starter, I promise you he would have been one of your definite leaders in the clubhouse, because he's had the toughest road, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're already talking about, there's guys, and he's not even in the organization anymore, but I know he touched Pepio and Grove in a big time.
Grove talked about it when I ran into Michael at FanFest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought him up.
I think that's who it would be, just simply because of, Pepio was the big rock star prospect, and then he came up and didn't get to make the postseason roster, and he went up and down and up and down. It was tough, and now he's, I don't want to say under the radar, but this time last year he was the number 1 or 2 pitching prospect in the Dodgers organization. So he's had that plight. If he could end up being a number 1, 2, 3 starter somewhere, I think he would be that guy.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it goes way down. I think the guy that could be the next Austin Barnes, it's a long ways away. Yainer Fernandez. Yep. There is he's got, everyone loves him. He's small. Barnes is not that big of a guy either. He also plays second base.
Yeah. Austin Barnes.
They profile very similar. And so, but Yainer's person is very magnetic. And so I think he could be someday, if he gets that opportunity, and there's only 1 million catches that are ahead of him, it seems like, or around him. But he seems to be, he might be that type of guy. What about,
hey, if you ever want to know Yainer Fernandez and how well liked he is, Next time you see Peter Hubeck, just mention Yainer Fernandez's name. He will go on and on and on about how awesome Yainer Fernandez is.
Yeah. You could just see that those players had so much respect for him. And the guy, he was the smallest guy on the team. But you'd see him before games. He's a catcher. Catchers have the longest day. And he'd start out doing his thing, getting his cuts in, but of course catching a lot of bullpens. Go catch the full game, take a beating, as a catcher does. And then after the game, his gear's still on the bench.
Yeah.
And guess he's signing for the fans. And basically until everyone's done, gets his gear, goes back to the clubhouse, comes out and change, and then goes back out and signs some more. It's a really a full 10-hour day for that guy. And it's a hard 10 hours. And smile on his face. Everyone wanted to talk to the guy or get a selfie with him, whatever. In fact, I even took one with him. He's that type of guy. That's a guy. So speaking of catchers,
before you move on, who it would have been
who?
From a position. I mentioned a pitcher, but the position player. Who that leadership would have come from a position player. You won't disagree with it. You
Austin?
can't guess?
Austin Gauthier?
No, Jacob Amaya.
Oh yeah.
I told you wouldn't disagree.
Yeah. No, that guy totally. Yeah.
Yeah. That's who it would have been.
Yeah. I hope we don't regret that one. But if we win a World Series and he gets to play, it's a win.
Hey, the good thing about that, if we do regret it, guess what we're going to do, Tim?
I told you so.
No, we're going to re-sign him.
Yeah, that's
as soon as
true.
he becomes a free agent, we'll go get him again. It's all good.
Go. Yeah, I mean, shoot, they let traded Rojas off in 2014.
Trace Thompson.
Yeah. And who knows who else? No, I wanted to talk briefly about Hunter Verduccia. I mean, what was he, 2018 draft?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to look that up. I'm terrible about remembering what draft.
I know. I think it was 2018.
Yeah. Let me look that up. I can. He's out of LSU, yeah.
No, he came on pretty strong at the end of the year, didn't he?
Yeah, 2018, round 12. Yeah, he's always been a guy that, of course, I did the all-grit team, and he was one of the guys that got the most amount of votes. In the all-grit team, I wanted to do that because that shows you, and it was voted on by the players, that shows you all the guys that the players respect the most. From a daily grind perspective, from a toughness perspective, he was one of the most respected players on the team. Yeah. And that is because he's just tough as hell, man. I mean, he's just made out of straight running boot leather. And to illustrate that, you hit on it. Both in 2021, 2022, he catches a lot of innings. Let me give you the amount of games played here. Games played, okay, give me just a second here. I know this probably doesn't make very good radio here, but all right, but okay, so in games played 83 and 86 the last 2 years, okay? Caught, that's a lot for catcher, right? Okay. So when you look at what's happened to him later in the season, he actually has gotten better offensively as the season's gone on.
That's not normal.
That's not normal. Yeah,
right. For a catcher, not at all.
But that tells you and here's another thing that you got to realize too. The Tulsa Drillers, who I know Hunter made it up to AAA Oklahoma City at the end of last year, but he was in AA quite a bit. The Drillers had the highest average velocity of any team in minor league baseball last year, 94 miles an hour. He caught that every night, okay? Yeah. That doesn't feel good. One of my coaches that was on my staff here at Guthrie High School was a first-round draft pick by the Cardinals in 1972. His name's Eddie Daves. He was a catcher. If you've never heard of him, it's because of Ted Simmons. He was the guy that was behind Ted Simmons, and, Ted Simmons was pretty darn good. Yeah. Okay, and he'll tell you, by the time about June or July, for a catcher, you've caught so many left-handed sliders and 94-mile fastballs that you can't even hold the bat with your bottom hand.
Right.
And so, of course, for Hunter, it'd be his top hand because he's a left-handed hitter and right-handed.
Right, yeah.
But so for him to continue to get better as the season goes on, that's tough, man. That's durable.
That
That's
is.
tough. And that durability for a catcher is something that his teammates respect. They showed that respect, and it's something that the organization should value.
Yeah.
And he's good, by the way. I don't mean to sound like he's not good. He's good.
No, I know, and I wonder where he might fit. We will see him, I'm sure, plenty during.
Well, let me ask you this question then: If Austin Barnes or Will Smith goes down, is it him or Maseka that's going to get the call?
It's going to be the major league guy, the Maseka guy. And wasn't there another one they also signed?
Yeah.
There's like two veterans. That's the catcher though that you bring up, and then he plays a few
David
games.
Freitas.
That's him.
Freitas.
So one of those, because what they'll do, they won't want to do this with Fiducia.
But none of them are on the 40 man. Fiducia, Freitas, or Mazeka.
Right.
So the Dodgers it's not going to be a choice of let's just take the one that's already on the 40 man. None of them are.
Right. But
so
they do.
It's a fair shot between all three.
No, actually, it's not. This is what they do. They did it with Tony Walters last year.
Veterans.
You pull him up. He does his fill in, and then they DFA him, and hope he goes back down to Oklahoma City and passes through. That's what'll happen. They don't want to do that with Fiducia because they'll lose him more likely than they'd lose these other guys. So that's where it's kind of a bummer for Hunter. He's one of those guys. He just got to play his way through.
Just keep the nose of the grindstone and keep. I mean, it's just keep grinding. That's what they call it. Just keep grinding.
Well, in like when Will Smith got brought up, it was because Austin Barnes really had forgotten how to hit. But usually it's you don't bring up a young catcher just for a few games. You go, well, or heaven forbid that Will Smith or Austin Barnes gets hurt long term. Mm-hmm. That would be Hunter's chance to come up. Because they're not going to bring up Diego from Double-A.
No. Well, Carson Taylor might be an option.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan January.
Yeah.
Of course, hopefully Carson stays healthy this year.
Yeah, I was surprised he didn't get an invite.
Wasn't healthy.
Yeah, still.
We'll see.
Yeah,
he's a 2020 draft pick. I mean, still a lot of time for him, man. A lot of time. Yeah. And he's just still learning the catcher spot. So, sometimes if you rush them up there faster than they're ready for, you can send them backwards.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the Dodgers don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And, hey, you mentioned the 6-man rotation. That's interesting, Tim. I know we're just kind of talking now.
I know. It seems like it's been forever.
Yeah. Okay, so, man, if you go 6-man rotation, you're not going to have Julio Urias after this year because he's already complaining about not throwing enough.
Yeah.
So what do you say to that? I mean,
so I think by the end of the season, I think Julio will have thrown the most innings he's ever thrown because the Dodgers are going to get every ounce out of him, and it'll actually help him in his free agency. It'll be at the Dodgers' peril, but they're going to.
That's why he's saying that right now. By the way, he wants the most amount of innings he can get. Mm-hmm. To increase his value to the highest point it possible. There's no other reason why he's making that statement right now other than that.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually think he does want to stay in Los Angeles for a lot of reasons, but you don't make Scott Boras your agent if your goal is to stay with your home team. So,
although the Dodgers have
they have a chance.
Yeah.
I think they have a legit chance. I just wish that they would just do it now. But he's going to cost a lot. Is he a
guy with his injury past? Sign that guy to 10 years?
Oh, it's so rough. I have a real soft spot for that guy. So I do too,
but I don't have a soft spot for anybody at 10 years.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be. If he got 10 years, I'd be shocked from anybody.
Right.
But then again, these contracts that came out this last year, there were some shocking contracts.
Yeah, I was probably exaggerating there, but you get the gist. Yeah.
It's 8.
Yeah, right.
Rodon got 6, 7. He got a ton, and that's with a year and a half of health. So Julio's been very healthy for the last 2 years. Actually, well, 3 years, right? He was healthy in 2020.
The last 2 years, he's thrown more than he ever has in his
Yeah,
career.
he's been good. I would like to see the Dodgers, though, give him that chance to be the ace. Because this last year, it was Julio's going to throw 6 innings. He's going to give up a solo home run, and then they're going to take him out. That was almost always the case. No, let's push him a little bit. His pitch count's not 100 yet. Let him do it. Let him work through some stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because
you can wish in one hand, right?
yeah, but then the challenge comes in the playoffs, and he struggled a little bit. I know he still won his game, but that game where he gave up those 3 runs in that 5th inning, that hurt the rest of the series because they had to go to the bullpen earlier than they should have. Versus, if he would have gone his normal 6 with, a nice cruising 6, it's with a 5-0 lead or 5-1, because you got to give up the one home run.
You got to give up the one solo home run.
Yeah, but then your pitching is completely different than it's 5-3 now and we still got to cover 4 innings.
Well, I think I got everything off my chest. I think I've had my therapy session. And are you good? Are you good, Tim? Do we anything else we got?
I know it's like we brought out some stuff, didn't we? So I will be out at spring training next week. Health, if the health is good enough. So if anyone's out there, please look me up. I will be at the backfields of the minor leagues as much as possible. Please come by to say hi. Appreciate that. We'll have to figure out a way to still record, maybe on my drive or something in the car. It won't be
just fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Or maybe we can do something where I'm on the field, or we'll figure something out. Maybe have some fun with it.
We'll make it work.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my media credentials to get the thumbs up. So it's always the little sweat here and there. But looking forward to getting out there again. Again, we have spring training games starting on Friday. I guess you need to buy the MLB package in order to see it, I'm guessing. I don't think they're giving it away yet. That's all I've got. You got anything else?
I don't. I think I'm out of bullets.
There you go. Yeah, it feels good.
That's all I got.
Yeah,
I think I've driven people nuts long enough for this show. So.
That's all right. We're good. All right. Well, it was great to catch up with you again. I know we were a little late recording this week. Life happens though, and
life happens.
Yep. Now we're back.
Yep. Hey fans, just a reminder: if you like this kind of content, if you like this video, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, and tell all your friends about the Dodgers Prospects Podcast. Also, tell them all about the Dodgers 2080 site and the Dodgers Daily site for all the prospects coverage you could possibly want. As always, we want to thank you for tuning in and say, Go Dodgers.